No fees to be collected. Alinsunod sa mga tuntunin ng POEA. Dito na tayo sa sigurado. Superior Alliance Human Resources Company. Mag-ingat sa mga illegal recruiter.
Paminaw na to ang magpamatuod sa ka-epektibo sa King's Vita Plus.
Ako si Joy Saris, nag-iya sa Joy Veterinary Supply diri sa Diblahan, Zamboanga, Sibugay. Akong na-experience ang King's Vita Plus nga kusog jud siya kaayo. Nindot kay siya gamiton sa mga baboy, manok, kompleto. Garantisado siya nga produkto kay kami mismo nagamit man sad mi ani sa amo ang baboyan. Dayon ako mga customer akong ginaawhag nga padayon mo nga magsuporta sa King's Vita Plus kay kini maka padayon sa paglambo sa inyong panginabuhian.
King's Vita Plus, mapalit sa tanang Agri-Vet store sa inyong lugar.
Gikan sa Tuna Capital of the Philippines, General Santos. Nagsibya sa gikusgon ng 5,000 watts. Kini ang sibyaanan sa RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. DXDX 693 kHz. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda sa syudad sa mga kampiyon. Live to the world, pinaagi sa FB page, karon mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas kipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. DXDX Size 93, ang mas kipakuskan ng inyong Radyo Ronda.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
DXDX General Santos.
Ito pala itong ating bisita.
Okay, oo.
Aba, which promotes the identification and study of endemic species to maintain biodiversity in the Philippines.
Yan.
Wala pong iba kung hindi si Mr. Shem J. Garcia.
Hi, Shem. Welcome. There you are.
Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you again, Shem.
Oh.
So, how's everything in Cebu?
Pretty gray.
Naadiay ka sa Cebu karon. Okay,
Ayan,
sige.
okay.
So, Shem, go ahead. Ricky.
So yeah, maybe we can start by introducing Vivant, no, and Vivant Foundation as well as the group of companies, no. So today our listeners can know ano ba tong Vivant.
Ano ba yung Vivant?
Yes.
So Vivant is a Cebuano company. We're one of the few publicly listed Cebuano companies. And, we've only been around for 20 years, but the family behind Vivant, which I'm a part of, has been in energy, particularly through Beco, which is the largest distribution utility outside of Meralco, for over 100 years. We traced it back to 1918. And, when Imperial opened everything up in 2003, that's when we created the publicly listed company in order to expand outside of distribution so that we could go into generation. So for the past 20 years, we've been growing in power. We're in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Nationwide na pala kayo.
Nationwide, yeah.
Yeah, we just invested in 3 plants in Bukidnon this year, so that completes the Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. But now we're also looking at getting into water as part of our.
So the business Garcias are the ones behind Vivant. Yung power generation nyo, Shem, you said Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Sa Luzon, saan kayo located? Saan kayo nag-generate ng power sa Luzon?
Needed industries.
We just got we just won a bid this year for Pampanga, but for a much longer time we've been up in La Union in particular.
Yeah, La Union,
because it's the name of the government.
Alright, so La Union, Cebu, now Bukidnon. So Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao na nga.
Okay. So kung good been expanding.
So the
Also
business
in more places than that as well. We actually have a very big presence in off-grid, which is very relevant to the
topic today. Because our first investment outside of Cebu was in the largest off-grid market in the Philippines, which is Palawan.
And this is through renewable energy.
Longer time. No, Palawan. Our initial one. This is through diesel, but we do have projects that are hybrid in Palawan. We started in a partnership with a Singaporean group for Sabang, which is hybrid of solar and diesel, and we're replicating that in Culion, which is also in Palawan.
Galing, no?
Okay yun. Ang ganda nun, Mr. Shem, yung mga off-grid, kasi yun talaga naman ang medyo nangangailangan talaga kasi mahirap pag walang power. Maganda, at least doon, naha-hybrid pa, no? Nakakagamit kayo ng renewable through solar. So, maganda. Okay, so, pero kayo po ay nandun sa foundation, Sir Shem. So, ano naman po ang mga programa ng Vivant Foundation?
Well, I think our biggest program is what's now called Project Rely. The pilot was called Project Liadlaw. Liadlaw was the Bisaya god of the sun, who particularly loved children. So that's where we got the name from. Because with this project, we electrify off-grid schools. So like
double off yun
Yes, because like Bantayan is considered off-grid. It's not connected to the main grid. But this isn't even connected to the mini grid within Bantayan, the first school that we did. This is in like an islet school, even though it's about 700 students. So this one we got into when we started doing rooftop solar, which is another business as well of Vivant. And, you know, we wanted to do rooftop in off-grid schools because this was specifically asked of us, you know, when we were setting up the foundation. We're only 7 years old. We're babies compared to the organizations you guys were part of and are part of. But when we were doing our research on communities, Tita Lydia Sarmiento Enrile, who's also from the League of
pillar in our industry.
Our mentor.
Yes.
Yes. She helped set us up. And so she also set up a meeting with Mario, who at the time was with DepEd, but now is back in foundations and with the LCF as well.
Yes.
And he said, you know, as an energy company, the best thing you can do is to bring energy to these unelectrified schools. And I'm like, well, when we get into solar, which we plan to, we'll do that. So that's what we did. We decided to electrify schools with solar energy because solar works very well with schools considering the times that schools operate. Because, you know, it doesn't need as big a battery investment as if you had to power an entire community because the school is running during daylight hours. But one thing that we also noticed when studying similar projects is, you know, we met with, particularly in northern Cebu, you know, they were talking about how they got a lot of donations in terms of solar equipment in the aftermath of Yolanda, but a lot of it was never, well, you know, they weren't able to maintain it because one thing that was missing was that the communities were never given the skills. And I think this is one thing that's very important also to put out with this idea of, you know, power for and by the people, is that, you know, in order for that to happen, they need to have the skill set. So we'd already been doing projects where we provide equipment and training for electricians courses in senior high schools, which is part of the new K-12 system, where they do technical vocation programs. But what we saw was that you know, they're training students to be electricians, but solar energy isn't a part of that. So what we've done is we created a new curriculum that bundled EIM with solar installation so that no matter where you are, these communities have the skills to install and maintain solar. Because we saw abroad, you know, we're not quite there yet in the Philippines. It's growing. But we saw in developed countries where there was a sudden massive increase in solar, but there wasn't the skill set among the electricians there.
Right.
So what we did is we set it up as a program for senior high schools where they're studying to be electricians that understand solar systems. So basically what happens is we electrify an off-grid school, and then a senior high school in the same municipality
will be given the training.
has this course where, and in exchange, the students studying it go to do the maintenance and repair for these off-grid schools, while at the same time, they're getting hands-on experience and they're getting the required, OJT hours, because that's part of the tech book. So, had that pilot program, and then we partnered with a German NGO called SECWA that specializes in applying for grants and doing all the reporting, which we had no experience in. But they find local partners with interesting projects. And this is actually their biggest one. We applied for an EU grant and we were able to win 2.2 million euros. So we're concluding that.
Congratulations! Ang ganda niyan, Mr. Shem.
How many schools so far have you brought light to, Shem? Have we brought light to?
Including the pilot, we've electrified 11, 10 under Relay, and right now the last 6, which are in Palawan, because everything north of Quezon in Palawan isn't connected to the grid. So that entire area from there up to El Nido isn't on the grid. So there's a lot of large schools there. So we're completing 6 of those at the moment.
And this is part of the 2.2 million euros.
Providing the electricians with solar course to 4 senior high schools.
Galing, no?
Galing. So parang ang nangyari nga, Sir Shem, maliban sa pagbibigay nyo ng power sa mga paaralan, power nyo din yung mga tao doon with the training, diba? For the people. So, yun pong nanalo kayo ng grant mula sa gobyerno po ng EU, ilan po ang nakapaloob na i-electrify ninyo, na ipapower ninyo ng mga paaralan? At meron pa po bang, halimbawa, may nakikinig po dito sa atin na nasa off-grid, pwede po ba silang mag-request na maisama sila doon sa mga paaralan na pwede? Kasi marami ho kaming nakikinig sa may banda West Philippine Sea.
Yes.
Well, that's actually one thing, right? Is that before we're able to select off-grid schools, they need to have a school that offers the EIM course, so we can upgrade it with the solar. So when we were applying for the EU grant, because we have a presence in Coron, Busuanga, we wanted to choose schools there because there's also a lot that aren't electrified in the islet schools around there. But then the problem was that none of the schools offered even the basic electrician's course. There's no way of becoming a TESTA certified electrician in Coron. So we didn't include that in the EU, but this year we've worked with the Coron School of Fisheries, which despite the name isn't just fisheries, it's a bunch of technical vocation courses, to offer the electrical course there with the solar, so that we can pick that as our next community where we will be selecting off-grid schools. And of course, there could be requests to apply with us, but one of the things we always pick as well is communities where we already have a business presence, because there's a lot of coordination with the plant that helps us communicate with the schools, especially right now during COVID. Our partners in our plants in Palawan have been essential in being able to allow the program to proceed, because they're the ones on the ground, and that's something that's been the main difficulty under COVID is being able to do the projects without being able to travel there as frequently as we used to.
Kung ano po, Sir Shem, nabanggit niyo yung TESDA, naging bisita po namin dito si board member Randy Nonato, at talagang gusto rin nilang palaganapin pa nga ang programa ng TESDA. So baka nga pwede rin maka-partner natin para mas dumami yung may offering ng course requirement yun ng electrical, para nga magkaroon ng mas marami pang lugar. At yun po bang gastos? Kasi naalala ko po yung dati yung solar, napakamahal pong gamitin yan no? Pero medyo may katagalan na ho yun, early 2000. Pero siguro ngayon po, mas mura na. Hindi na ho ganun kamahal.
Hindi, baka made in China.
That was actually one of our challenges for the EU grant, because under the EU grant, we're not actually allowed to source from China.
Yeah, that's right.
So they exclude countries that are from the G20 that aren't European from the source.
Yeah.
So we had to specify in the bidding process that the panels could not come from China.
Okay.
So instead they come from Vietnam, because part of the EU grant is also helping developing countries. Their preference is that as much sourcing be done in the
developing countries.
Country that they're helping, but if not, then they prefer either EU or developing countries that are outside of the G20.
Shem, I've also, in my past life, I have been in electrification as well. But I would think that the systems right now are more efficient than they were like 10 years ago, right? The systems that you're placing in.
And more affordable. So, but also on the other side, there's people that are saying that, it's competitive with non-renewable sources, with conventional sources, which just isn't true, unfortunately. Although we do think that setting up these skills so that it takes a larger share, and so that as prices continue to decrease, there are the skills within the community, so it's ready for it. It's getting better. It's not 100% there, and I think the main sort of thing holding it back isn't so much the solar panels, which are very affordable, but it's the batteries, which is why I said, a lot of the times the communities we go to, why not do it for the whole community? And we have to explain, it's more cost efficient for us with schools, not just because the Vivan Foundation has primarily focused on education this whole time, but also because it requires fewer batteries because schools run during the daytime. That's somewhere where really throughout the Philippines, it doesn't have to be off-grid, where we can really benefit with solar energy, because they run during the daytime for the most part, except for the ones in the city that also have night classes. In a lot of, I'd say most towns in the province outside of the main city centers, the schools are the largest buildings and they have so much roof space. So I think that's really an area for a lot of potential in terms of increasing renewable energy use in the Philippines.
Yung pong gano'n, napakalaking bagay na po yun na sa isang liblib na lugar ay magkakaroon ng kuryente sa pamamagitan ng solar energy ng programang Project Relay. Maganda ho yun kasi nga yun lang makatikim sila ng audiovisual na pagtuturo na meron silang magagamit na video at ang laking bagay na po noon sa mga estudyante, no? At para dun sa pamayanan din, di ba?
Pero it runs computers, di ba? Itong mga solar systems na to, they can run computers, not only lights?
Yes. So going back to the first story, which is Hilutongan Island off of Bantayan in which was the pilot.
That's far away.
They actually had 60-screen computer lab, which was part of the K-12 thing, but they didn't have the power to actually run it. They were still in boxes at the time. So we made sure that the power requirement was enough. And also part of the deal with the school is that, since you're not using the computers and the energy during the weekends, can you have training for the adults here, the adults in the community, to be able to learn how to use computers as well.
That's good.
And this is also part of our agreement with DepEd for the other schools under Project Rely, is that we say we'll provide more than what is currently needed for lights and whatever. We'll provide enough for a computer lab, but you have to provide the computer lab. So that's part of the buy-in of DepEd.
But yeah, it does make a big difference because for a lot of these students, this is the first time they're using a computer. For the teachers as well. So when we go in, we also have to provide training in computers because the teachers haven't been using it. Yeah, so that's one thing. But I think one of the things also holding them back from being on the same level as students on the mainland is, they have the computers now, but unfortunately they don't have the internet connection.
Yeah,
and I think when you're
thing.
going into a modern economy, the two have to go hand in hand. And that's not something we can provide, unfortunately.
Pero pansamantala kahit mga flash drive lang muna, mapadala doon para lang may nandun na yung laman Kasi mahirap talaga Kasi internet connectivity, minsan hirap nga talaga.
So then, pati yung di ba, they also get trained on the maintenance of the system as you mentioned earlier. So even if they're far-flung, they don't need somebody to come from the mainland to help them fix up the system for troubleshooting. Right?
Hello, Shem. Medyo Pero bago tayo na magpatuloy sa ating interview kay Mr. Shem, gusto ko lang ulitin yung katanungan natin para sa ating Goodwill Pabaon Pack, nahatid sa inyo ng NutriAsia. Ang tanong po natin, dahil nga ang ating programa ngayon ay pinamagatang Power to the People, ang tanong po natin ay ano ang ginagawa mo para makatipid sa kuryente? Ano ang mga power-saving practices na ginagawa ninyo sa bahay para makatipid? So, yun po, ang tanong, ano ang ginagawa mo para makatipid sa kuryente? Mangyari lang po na mag-text kayo sa 0999-376-6768. Ulitin ko, 0999-376-6768. At doon din po sa ating Radyo CSR Facebook page, pwede kayo doon sumagot at mangyari lang po na i-like at i-share nyo po ang aming Facebook page. Maraming salamat po. Mukhang naputol tayo kay, andyan na po ulit, si Sir Shem.
Sorry, Shem.
Guys, it started raining and you know how internet gets during the rain.
Ayan na nga, kakasabi lang natin sa internet connectivity. Talagang yan na po, malinaw na example na problemado ang ating internet connectivity. Nasa syudad pa tayong pare-pareho paano na lang kung nandun ka sa liblib na lugar? Nako.
Pero I was asking kanina, yung maintenance ng mga systems na to, sila na, they do it. Kasi you mentioned earlier that they were trained to maintain it, di ba? Kasi mahirap naman yung ang layo na sa most solar power programs they fail kasi you put in the program tapos alis ka na, bahala ka sa buhay mo, ganon. But I guess here you also train them to maintain it, the school.
And an interesting bonus to that is that one of the things that we asked the companies doing the bids for the EU grant is that we asked them to also look into hiring some of the graduates from the pilot program to do the installations themselves for the EU batch. And we've had about 15 students that had graduated from the schools hired to do the installations as well for the 16 additional schools. So, and the providers were saying that they were impressed with the knowledge and the skills of the students, and some of them are being hired full-time since it's a Cebuano company that won the bid.
Okay. So ano pa ang programa ninyo, Sir Shem, maliban dito sa napakagandang programa ninyo na Project Rely? Meron pa po ba kayong ibang ginagawa bilang foundation ng Vivant?
Although they're not directly energy involved in the same extent as Rely, but we've always had a focus, and Rely very much fits into this, and energy fits into this in terms of having a focus of science, technology, engineering, and math. So our very first project, and it's a project that we've continued, is providing science laboratories and equipment for schools that offer STEM under senior high school. So just last year, even during the pandemic, we were able to complete an additional 4 laboratories here in Cebu province. And we also sponsored the Region 7 Science and Technology Fair. And some of the stuff that these kids come up with is really impressive.
Opo, nako, talaga. Grabe yung mga digital native po, kung ano-ano talaga naiisip eh. Hindi kamukha nating, kami, digital Jurassic.
Wala pa na, G.I. Joe pa tayo. Wala pa tayo, ba? So, no, but you know, I've seen their program. I sit in the board actually of Vivan Foundation, and we're very proud of what they're doing in terms of science technology, you know, in the education side. Even they also have scholarships.
Tama, kailangan talaga natin yan para nga mas mapaunlad natin ang ating bansa at ekonomiya. Kinakailangan talaga natin ng kakayahan sa STEM, no? Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. Yun po bang programa nyo na ginawa na ninyo sa Cebu ay gagawin nyo rin sa ibang lugar ninyo tulad sa La Union, sa Palawan, sa Bukidnon? Magkakaroon din po ba kayo ng mga laboratorio doon?
Actually, our very first lab was in Palawan. The very first one was in Busuanga. We also did the second one was in Palawan National School, which I was amazed. I did not know that there were schools this big. This is a high school where at the time it was 9,000 students, but since senior high school has expanded, it's I think more than 11,000 students now. It's the largest school in Palawan.
Wow.
So we provided a science lab there, and they have, I think they have more than 300 STEM track students a year that utilize the laboratory.
Galing.
And this is beyond, Shem, this is beyond what by law, no, Vivant Corporation is mandated to donate, diba? Yung missionary electrification, which is 1/4 of 1 centavo for every kilowatt hour, right? So aside from the fact that you're fulfilling that obligation which is mandated by law, they're going beyond, di ba?
So ito pong ginagawa ng Vivant Foundation, beyond compliance po ito, tinatawag natin, no? So at nakita natin yung kanilang tulong ay nakatuon dun sa kanilang mga pamayanan na kung saan sila gumagawa ng kanilang negosyo, no? So bahagi ito ng kanilang community relations at isa sa pagpapakita na they are a good neighbor, corporate neighbor. Okay, so
aside LCF members na ng board of directors.
Oo nga, board of directors po. Nga, speaking of LCF po, meron tayong malaking event ngayong darating na linggo. Ano po ba ito, Sir Shem? Baka pwede niyong maimbitahan at maibahagi sa ating mga tagapakinig.
So we are having the annual CSR Expo, and that is taking place from Tuesday to Thursday, and everyone is invited. It is a paid event, but there are discounts for students in particular, because I think one of the most important things is, especially students that are studying to become business people, understand the importance of CSR. And outside of my capacity of LCF, I've spoken to business students about CSR and the work we do at Vivant Foundation, but it's also part of the CSR Institute in LCF to go to the schools and talk to these business students about the importance of working with the community if you're in business. So yeah, this is going to be our first virtual event. We picked a very nice platform, and it's starting on Tuesday to Thursday. We're doing half days because we also learned from some others that doing full day events. It can be very draining.
Nakakaumay.
So if you guys wanna register to join us, just go to LCF's Facebook page, and there are links there in order to get tickets to join it. So I know you guys had Maribeth and was it Mario that
si Reg. Opo. At yun nga po, Sir Shem, binanggit nila na ang isang keynote speaker ay si John L. Quinton, no? Mga ka-goodwill, si John L. Quinton po ang isa sa guru ng corporate social responsibility. Siya po ang nag-coin ng phrase na triple bottom line, no? People, planet, and profit na naging prosperity na ngayon, no? Na ang sabi ko nga, meron pang pang-apat, which is yung purpose. Yun yung,
Yeah, but he's adapting that from the 3 Ps to 4 Cs. And to find out what that is, that's what the keynote's gonna be on Tuesday.
Right.
Okay, may teaser na po si Mr. Shem. Okay, Shem, so yan nga, LCF CSR Expo, next week po, no, may discount para mga estudyante. May mga ilang katanungan na lang po ako, Mr. Shem, pero medyo hindi na to sa kasi nga po, meron tayo ditong programa, advokasya, yung Pilipinas BNB, Boto na Bayan.
Yeah.
So, kayo po ay isang business leader, ang dami nyo pong posisyon, sa iba't ibang mga organization. Isang tanong lang po namin, ano po ba palagay ninyo ang mga katangian ng pinuno na kinakailangan natin sa ating bansa dahil nalalapit na po ang halalan sa 2022? Ano po yung mga katangian na palagay ninyo ay kinakailangan or hanapin natin sa ating mga kandidato?
Sorry? I got a little lost there with the speed.
Opo, sorry. Ang ano po is because you are in a position of leadership, you have many positions in other organizations, and with your experience, we just want to ask, given we have our advocacy here, which is Pilipinas Boto na Bayan, what would be for you the important traits? No? Ano yung mga importanteng katangian ng isang mamumuno sa atin? No?
That we should be choosing this coming election.
Integrity for sure, but I mean that's a very Miss Universe answer, right? World peace and all. But I think on the very practical side, I think you have to look at who just talks and who actually gets things done.
Yes.
Track record, bale.
Yeah, I think a track record is very important. You know, and you know, because there's some candidates. I'm not gonna, you know, say who I'm going for or anything like that. But there's some candidates where, you know, they might have been there a long time, but they haven't actually put forward any bills. Whereas there are other candidates that have been either in the lower or the Senate that have been there just a short time, and then you look at the quality of their bills, and their bills are beyond, you know, form a committee, because there's so many laws with great titles, but if you look at the content of those titles, it essentially is, let's form a committee to look into this issue rather than let's get a lot of these things done. And I have a couple of politicians, again, I'm not going to be endorsing anyone, but that I know that when I see their bills, I'm like, this is something that's necessary. There are steps in these bills that are concrete, and it's not just about, you know, forming a committee, because what's the term where something's in a committee forever and ever, like
gets lost, yun na yun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
more action, less talk.
Yes,
all right. Okay. So, with that, do you have any parting messages, Sir Shem, before we let you go?
I just wanted to thank you guys for this opportunity. You know, it's been a long time since I've been on radio. The last time was when I was still with an animal rescue group here in Cebu called IRO, and it was a local station here. And it's good spending time with you. I just wanted to say to the audience, you know, LCF was so important when we were creating the foundation. And these two guys were two of the friendliest ones that came up to me as a new member and introduced themselves and said, hey, how are we going to partner with each other? And Ricky was my classmate in probably the best workshop that I've ever been to, which was headed by Nieves Confessor. So, you know, I have a long history with these guys, and they really are as nice as they sound on the radio.
Oh, great.
All right. Thank you, Shem. Ayo diha.
All right.
Okay, we'll get to visit you in Cebu one of these days.
Yeah. See you, Shem. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Diba? Ang galing, no? Yung electrification, pare, ang laking tulong nun.
Alam mo iba yung block sa LCF ng energy companies? Puro electrification yun. Household, schools, and hospitals.
Pero yung impact talaga ng electrification ng paaralan, napakalaki nun bagay.
Yung electricity talaga, anywhere, no? It actually catalyzes growth or improves basic services. Kaya ganun kahalaga ang kuryente.
Ayan.
Ngayon
so yan po mamaya makakausap naman natin na magpapaliwanag talaga kung gaano kahalaga ang kuryente.
Ayan, no.
Isa pong dating official ng Department of Energy. Yan. Okay. So, wag po kayong bibitaw. Kami magbabalik. Makaraan lamang po ng ilang paalaala. Dito lang sa Radyo CSR. Radyo CSR. Doing good while doing well.
Ready for next level TV viewing?
Yes!
Ready to watch up to 119 channels like Disney Channel, Fox Movies, NBA TV Philippines, and more?
Yes!
Ready to load anytime, anywhere?
Yes!
Ready for buy one, take one load?
Awesome!
Ready to have all that?
Wow! Achieve!
Achieve ang awesome with the Signal Prepaid HD Kit. Now only 1,990 pesos with buy one, take one load. Promo runs from October 1 to December 31, 2020. Promo extended until June 30, 2021. As approved by DTI FTEB per DTI Fair Trade Permit number FTEB 105354 series of 2020. Go to any Signal dealer or visit the Signal TV Facebook page para ma-achieve mo rin ang awesome.
Patuloy na naglilingkod sa bayan. Mas todong pagpabalita. Mas todong pagseserbisyo publiko. Ito ang DWIZ 882. Mas todong lakas. Mas pinakikinggan ng buong bansa. DWIZ 882. Maririnig saan man panig ng daigdig. Mag-livestream lamang sa www.dwiz882am.com o i-download ang official DWIZ 882 app sa Apple Store at sa Google Play Store. DWIZ 882. Mapapakinggan worldwide. Balitang komentaryo, problemang legal, pangkalusugan at iba pa na binibigyang solusyon, mga trabahong nag-aabang para sa inyong kapakinabangan. Ito ang programang Balita Na. Serbisyo pa. Dito sa DWIZ. Balita Na. Serbisyo pa. Subaybayan. Good deals happen only at Isuzu Gencars. Isuzu Gencars, after sales quality service. Isuzu Gencars, expert mechanics to deal with your car problems. Isuzu Gencars, the trusted name for Isuzu car dealership. Isuzu Gencars dealership are Isuzu Makati, Isuzu Batangas, Isuzu San Pablo, Isuzu Legazpi, Isuzu Naga, Isuzu Batangas City, and Isuzu Santa Rosa. Gencars Incorporated, 42 years of sales and service excellence. Check out the all-new Isuzu D-Max at the nearest Isuzu Gencars dealership. For more details, visit our website at www.isuzu-gencars.com.ph. Like and follow our Facebook page to get updates on the latest events and happenings.
Ready for next level TV viewing?
Yes!
Ready to watch up to 119 channels like Disney Channel, Fox Movies, NBA TV Philippines, and more?
Yes!
Ready to load anytime, anywhere?
Yes!
Ready for buy one, take one load?
Awesome!
Ready to have all that?
Wow! Achieve!
Achieve ang awesome with the Signal Prepaid HD Kit. Now only 1,990 pesos with buy one, take one load. Promo runs from October 1 to December 31, 2020. Promo extended until June 30, 2021. As approved by DTI FTEB per DTI Fair Trade Permit number FTEB 105354 series of 2020. Go to any Signal dealer or visit the Signal TV Facebook page para ma-achieve mo rin ang awesome.
Sama-sama, magparehistro. Tara na, mahalaga ang boto mo. PNP, boto na bayan. PNP, magtulungan na tayo. Bayan, para sa ating bayan. PNP, tara makibahagi. Bayan, para sa bayan. Boto na Pilipinas.
Uy, kaya Pilipinas, BNB, boto na bayan. Pero kinakailangan, rehistrado ka. Punta na kayo sa votepilipinas.com o sa pinakamalapit na tanggapan ng COMELEC para magparehistro. Pilipinas, BNB, boto na bayan!
Radyo CSR, doing good while doing well. DWIZ. Radyo CSR, doing good while doing well.
Okay, muli muli nagbabalik ang tambalang tambuhala, Sir Max at Sir Ricky dito lang sa Radyo CSR, doing good while doing well. Ang oras natin, alas 3:46, atid sa inyo ng Signal TV Signal. Achieve mo na ang awesome.
Ayan na nga po mga ka-goodwill, medyo may mali po kami ni Sir Ricky.
Yan.
Nakalimutan po namin na primero nga pala ngayon ng buwan na unang pagtatanghal. Alam nyo naman na pagkaunang pagtatanghal, hindi po Nutri-Asia. Kasi nga matagal na tayong hindi nakakakain ng lechong kawali at with Mang Tomas sauce at saka yung tortang talong ko with UFC
Hanging eleksyon lang yan.
Ayun na nga. Ang ipamimigay ho namin dapat pagka primero, gaya ng alam ninyo dito sa ating Goodwill Pabaon Pack, dahil nga unang pagtatanghal natin ngayong buwan, mamimigay po kami ng isang Signal Prepaid HD Kit na may kasamang first month load worth 1,000. At libre na ang installation fee. Nako, nagkakahalagang 4,000 po itong pamimigay natin ngayon.
Bigat pala.
So, yung katanungan po namin, sumagot kayo yung anong ginagawa ninyo upang makatipid sa inyong kuryente. Lalo ka na, Antoinette Rapadas. Hi sa inyo ni Doc Bing Rapadas, nakikinig dyan sa Marikina.
Yun.
Okay, so sa Signal Prepaid, achieve mo talaga ang awesome with more than 100 channels na mapapanood. Siguradong merong channel na mag-i-enjoy ang bawat miyembro ng pamilya. May Nickelodeon at Cartoon Network para sa mga bata. TVN at K+ para sa mga mahilig sa K-drama at OPA, NBA TV Philippines at PBA Rush para sa mahihilig sa basketball action, at HBO sa gustong mag-movie marathon. At meron pa ang Cinema One at Mix, nandito na rin. For only 1,990 pesos makakapanood ka ng amazing channels malinaw at in HD. Plus madali pang mag-load. Kung di ka pa nakasignal, punta na sa pinakamalapit na Signal dealer para mag-inquire at mag-message sa Signal TV official Facebook page. Signal, achieve mo na ang awesome.
At mamaya din, makakausap.
Hindi na.
Okay, so dito na tayo. Dumako na tayo sa ating ikalawang segment. Na upang marinig naman natin ang side ng gobyerno.
Alright.
Dati kasi itong government official ng department, mataas sa government Department of Energy.
Okay.
Siya isang abogado from the University of the Philippines and has been in public service for more than 20 years, having held office in all branches of government. Matindi to, Sir Max, legislative, judiciary, and executive. This being included, being elected into to elected positions. Nagsimula siya as legislative liaison officer, the House of Representatives, and then she became the branch clerk of court of a regional trial court in northern province of the Philippines. And then elect din siya into a 3-year term as provincial board member for the 5th district in the province of Cebu.
Cebu na naman. Talagang Cebu tayo ngayon.
Energy people coming from Cebu. Energetic din to si ma'am. In the executive department, she was posted as the chief of staff of the secretary of the Department of Tourism for 4 years. Then prior to her post as commissioner ng Energy Regulatory Commission, she was also the chief of staff and later on undersecretary of the Department of Energy. So matindi to, kaibigan natin to, napakagaling nito sa enerhiya, pagdating sa topic ng enerhiya, at multi-talented din. Broadcaster din to.
Oo nga, parang nakita ko nga
ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, at hindi ako sanay tawagin sa full name, Attorney Josefina Patricia Magpale, Ina Magpale. Ma'am Ina, anak ka. Para namang bumata lalo si Ma'am Ina.
Tapos sa inyo, Ricky at Max.
Hi.
Mag-a-apply na ako na co-anchor. Pwede ba?
Alam ko na yung title, parang Beauty and the Beasts.
So welcome, Attorney Ina. Salamat sa inyong pagpapaunlak sa atin sa Radyo CSR. So Sir Max here and Sir Ricky. So, go ahead.
Siguro simulan natin after government service, balita namin before we go into energy. Ay ikaw broadcaster nga. So pwede gusto mo kwentuhan kami ng
Yes, ano po ba yung inyong programa, Ma'am Ina?
Nakikita ko sa Facebook yan.
Actually, Aina, I will just...
Aina.
Kasi pag Ina, ang naaalala nyo, si Ina Raimundo, ang sexy-sexy mo, layo yung katawan ko doon. Nanonood din sa 882.
Ayan.
Ina Raimundo ang katapat nitong mga dambuhalang broadcaster.
Ayan, pwede din.
Aina.
Pwede din.
And actually, ang programa po namin ay Bisaya. It's Sibya TV. And we are on digital broadcast. Not on the airwaves. I teamed up with some retired, parang ako lang, retired ABS-CBN anchors. Nakasama ko rin dati.
Okay.
So, yan ang aking bagong bagong career. Pero kung kailangan nyo talaga dito, okay lang ako. O pakain lang sa akin, NutriAsia, kung ano man.
Sige po. Ayusin mo natin yan para mas maganda.
Beauty and the Beast, ha? So ma'am, ikaw ang may alam na pagdating sa enerhiya. Nako, alam na pinigyan ko ng sakit ng ulo din to dati, no? Nasa Team Energy pa ako, di ba, ma'am? Anyway. So ano ba nangyayari? Bakit unang-una nagkaroon tayo ng rotating brownouts? Bakit nangyayari itong mga rotating brownouts? Kasi parang maraming nangyayaring ang tawag nila ay forced shutdown ng mga power plant. No, bakit ba nangyayari ito? Kasi balita ko nung kasama ko sa mga Team Energy, tuloy-tuloy daw yung operations nila and parang naramdaman natin hindi naman nagkaroon ng shortage nung 'di ba? Nung the 1 year na nagkaroon. So bakit biglang nagkakaroon tayo, ma'am, ng mga ganito?
Nung nagmo-monitor ako, Ricky, kasi hindi mo naman maaalis, talagang pag nanggaling kasi industriya, parang pag narinig mo, bakit? Ano nangyari? Sa palagay ko, ang nangyari ay kakulangan lang sa, for lack of a better term, proper coordination pagdating doon sa mga planta na kinakailangang mag-shutdown for maintenance or nag-shut kasi merong tinatawag na forced outage dahil nasisira. So, ito kasi, kailangan talaga ito na nakaplano para hindi sila sabay-sabay. Okay? So, meron namang sapat na supply, pero pag nagkataon na magsabay-sabay na masira yan sa mga di inaasahang mga kaganapan sa mundo, talagang kukulangin ang supply natin. Pero mukhang natugunan na nila kasi after that, Boss Ricky, mukhang huminahon na ang mundo.
Okay, kasi parang nandun kayo, you were still in the government nung nangyari yung issue ng collusion, di ba? Nung sinasabi na ba't sabay-sabay tumaas yung presyo, yung price of electricity. So, may alam na mga chismosa sa industriya and sa labas, na akala nila it is going to happen again, di ba? So,
alam mo, hindi maiiwasan na ganyan ang iisipin ng mga tao kasi kukunti lang talaga or rather yung mga players natin sa industriya, mangilan-ngilan lang, lalo na yung mga may hawak ng mga malalaking portfolio o tinatawag natin ng mga generating capacity. Pero lahat naman yan kailangan dumaan sa due process. Hindi, wala akong kinikilingan o pinapanigan, pero alam natin na mahirap yung magbintang lang tayo ng nanggaling sa hangin. Ako, para sa akin imbestigahan, oo, pero pakinggan at tingnan natin kung saan nagkukulang. At kung saan ang pagkukulang, hindi lang sa private sector, kundi pati sa gobyerno. It's a partnership. Hindi pwedeng kasalanan lang ng gobyerno, hindi rin pwedeng kasalanan lang ng private sector. Walang mangyayari para sa ikauunlad ng bayan kung hindi tayo matuto mag-usap at magkaisa.
Yon, dialogue talaga. Ma'am Aina, yung sa itong sinabi nyo na dapat hindi magsabay-sabay, sino ang dapat nagko-coordinate nun? Yun po ba yung Energy Regulatory Commission? Yun po ba yung katungkulan nun? Ano po ba yung ginagawa ng ERC natin?
Isa ang ERC sa mga ahensya na kailangan niyang siguraduhin na yung mga planta ay umaandar sang-ayon sa kanyang dapat na capacity. Pero yung sa pagpaplano ng tinatawag natin na Grid Operating and Maintenance Program, GOMP, ang naghahanda niyan ay yung NGCP. Tapos inaaprubahan nito, kasama yung nag-a-approve nito actually ang Department of Energy. Pero para sa akin, yung parang he said, she